Watch Yukito and Mitama shake the very foundation of a world without any gods or religions. Welcome back to our channel, where we bring you recaps of the best and most underrated anime out there. Before getting into the enthralling recap, don't forget to subscribe to stay updated on the latest and greatest anime. Yukito, our protagonist, is brought to the ocean to be sacrificed by a cult. He introduces his father as the leader of this shady cult and seems uninterested in whatever is happening. His father declares that after 3 days of being submerged in the water, Yukito will emerge as the new leader of the cult with the blessing of their god Mitama-sama. Desperate to escape his impending watery fate, Yukito pleads with his dad but is offered a charm from him instead. Dad yells a prayer for his son when he's thrown off the cliff. Yukito comically collides with the cliff multiple times before landing into the water. Later, Yukito is plagued by embarrassing flashbacks and wakes up naked in a new world, tended to by Allura. She assigns him to farm work and he eagerly embraces this opportunity, expecting an alternate world cliché. Meeting Roy and Clan, he anticipates a grand quest but is deflated when he's asked to cut grapes. In his delusion, he cuts a whole bunch of grapes, which leads to him using the grapes to create beer. The inn run by Allura and Silurial becomes a popular spot as all the villagers arrive to drink booze. After a few days, he's still waiting for an exciting situation. While working in the fields with Roy, a monster suddenly attacks. Roy appears ready to cast a spell to defeat it, but ends up yelling at Yukito to flee. They find refuge in a nearby cave, where Roy admits that he doesn't stand a chance to beat the monster. Yukito then asks him about the book he was carrying, and Roy responded that it was a book of escape strategies. What good is that? Later that night, the villagers gather at the inn, indulging in booze and partying again. The next day, he discovers from Allura that gods don't exist in this world. Meanwhile, Roy informs him about a book available in the nearby Imperial City. Together, Allura, Roy, and him visit the city. Roy warns him to avoid interacting with the city's people who hold disdain for the villagers. After acquiring the book, he witnesses a distressing execution called End of Life. Outraged, he questions Allura and Roy, who explains the country's law that mandates individuals to end their own lives. That night, Allura sneaks into Yukito's bed, eager to try techniques from a book to give a man more energy. Hilarity ensues as Yukito ends up comically tied up with a rope. Asking her to calm down, Allura then says sorry and reveals that maybe that was the reason why she was sent here and the villagers because they opposed the end-of-life law and have been banished from the city, showing him the brand on her skin. She thanks him for his friendship. The following day, he wakes up in the empty inn and discovers Roy has been beaten on the ground. Roy informs him that Allura and Silurial have been forcefully taken for execution. Clan arrives in a carriage, urging Yukito to join. Together, they embark on a city-storming mission to save Allura and Silurian. Silurial is hanged and Allura is about to be executed next. Yukito swoops in, rescuing Allura, but getting stabbed himself by a knight. Allura is also stabbed in the back and starts bleeding. Overwhelmed by regret, Yukito clutches his father's charm and prays for Mitama-sama to help them. A burst of celestial light engulfs the sky, and a childlike figure descends, calling out Yukito's name. The child gets angry and cleanses every knight and engulfs them. Reviving Allura, Silurial, and Yukito, she sits on his head and reveals that she's Mitama, his god. The girl claiming to be Mitama-sama is still messing around with Yukito, while Allura and Silurial are surprised that they're even alive. They return to the village safe and sound. Returning to the village, the sight of him alive and well makes everyone happy. Roy attempts a hug with Silurial but ends up failing comically. The village gathers at the inn for a celebration. Amidst the festivity, Yukito reflects on the imperial country's anger at him, yet remains calm thanks to his cheat code in the form of Mitama, the goddess. Allura, in her confusion, tries to address Mitama and inquire about her relationship with Yukito. Mitama reveals her status as his god and thanks Allura for being friends with him. Yukito plans to confront the imperial city using Mitama's power, but her power seems to be failing her, and her follower count is at 0. He then realizes this is a godless world and scolds Mitama for not realizing that no one owes her here. Yukito declares he will help Mitama gain more followers. In a private session with Roy, Mitama indulges his perversion by sitting on him and having him drink wine from her feet. Roy then becomes an ecstatic worshiper of Mitama. Yukito gathers the villagers to introduce Mitama, but she interrupts and intimidates them into worshipping her. claiming she's omnipotent and exposes embarrassing moments from Yukito's life before he intervenes. Taking charge, he tells the people that Mitama can see what's in their hearts and asks Alluril about her relationship problems. Surprised, Alluril contemplates altering her appearance, but the antics cause villagers to lose interest. Yukito's efforts to inspire belief in Mitama fail, which causes him to be disappointed by himself at the end. Alluril rushes in, worried about her dying pet, Chilchil, who consumed pest poison. Yukito hurries to gather herbs for medicine. Returning with Mitama and the medicine, Yukito administers it, but Chilchil still succumbs. Amidst mourning, Mitama musters her last strength to resurrect the pet and almost dies in the process. Examining her follower count, Mitama discovers Alluril and Siluril have become worshippers. Mitama realizes her power has returned, and Yukito realizes that the method of acquiring followers impacts Mitama's power. Alluril requests Mitama to revive the person who died while she was about to be executed. She revives the knight who died. A bright light flashes and a naked woman is in front of him. A mysterious girl slays a forest beast and heads to the village to destroy it. Bertrand the knight, resurrected by Mitama, is rejected by the capital because her sex was mysteriously changed. Disheartened, Bertrand encounters Roy's unwanted advances, and Yukito stops and throws him away. Reluctant at first, Bertrand opens up to Yukito about the capital's abandonment. Yukito wants Bertrand to help defend the village, and although reluctant, Bertrand agrees. The next day, a beast attacks the village, and Riki tries to kill it. Mitama even summons a legendary weapon for him to use, but the weapon is useless, and Riki gets kicked away. Suddenly, Bertrand jumps into action and slices the beast in half with her special sword. Yukito declares that the holy knight of the religion, Bertrand, will protect the villagers from all danger, and all the villagers will rejoice. Yukito plans on providing the villagers with services for joining the religion. Alluril and Siluril offer wine, while Yukito bakes cookies. Mitama's followers slowly increase, but it's still not enough. Yukito learns from Bertrand about the dangerous Imperial Army and its powerful archons. Realizing Mitama needs more followers, Yukito arranges a meeting with Siluril, Alluril, and Klen at the inn. However, the meeting turns chaotic when the villagers smell alcohol and starts a ruckus at the inn. Later, Siluril comforts Yukito and thanks him for trying to help the village. Yukito is disappointed in himself and doesn't know how to gain more followers for Mitama to help the village. He has a flashback of his father telling him how they expanded their cult. Yukito has a realization and gets up and leaves. He joins Klen and Bertrand on a cliff and tells them that he will take the village 500 years into the future. A month passes and the village looks like a town in the future. Yukito devises a plan to bring the village into the future by introducing technology and advancing the people. He introduces farming equipment that Mitama makes, and slowly the number of followers increases. He also asks Mitama to create water pumps and a sewage system for the villagers, and they have a water party in the village. Siluril forces everyone to wear cute swimsuits, and Roy goes feral as he gets to perv on everyone. Later, he asks Siluril and Alluril to dress up and give the villagers drinks at the inn. Yukito also introduces electricity and light to the village. Things get rowdy and Roy gets kicked away by Siluril and has a tube light smash into his head when he tries to grab Alluril. Yukito watches the village from afar and is proud of the progress that the village has made. He talks with Klen Bertrand about the village's progress, and Klen reveals that he was previously part of the Imperial Army. He also reveals that he's here of his own volition and is not branded like the villagers. The following day, a villager rushes into the inn and tells everyone that Bertrand has been attacked by a little girl. Yukito rushes to her aid with Mitama. Bertrand, beaten into the ground by the little girl, is questioned about the village. She talks to her ally Loki via comms and informs him that she's headed to the village to destroy it. The little girl is revealed to be an Archon sent by the Empire, and Bertrand is helpless against her. Yukito and Mitama arrive at the scene and an epic battle ensues. At first, it looks like Mitama can hold her own against the Archon girl named Attar. But Attar overpowers Mitama and is about to defeat her. As a last effort, Mitama calls forth the powers of all the gods, and Attar and Mitama engage in a power struggle. But at the last moment, the gods leave Mitama to fend for herself, and she doesn't have a lot of followers. Mitama is defeated, but Attar is also at her wit's end. From the inn, Alluril, Siluril, and Klen rush to help Yukito and Mitama. As Attar is about to launch an attack to destroy the village, Everyone arrives to protect Mitama. Atar sees this and is enraged and confused at what is happening and launches a deathly attack on the village. The village is destroyed in the process, but then it's revealed that this is an illusion. Clint reveals that everything is an illusion and that the village is safe and sound. Clint reveals that he's in fact one of the main Archons, a girl known as Loki. Atar asks him why he's betraying the Imperial City and is about to attack Loki, who appears behind Yukito and Mitama, and asks them if they want to assassinate the Imperial Emperor. Watch as Yukito and Mitama take on the mighty Archons and the tyrannical Emperor of the Imperial City. Stay tuned for thrilling adventures as Mitama-sama's religion flourishes and the enigmatic Archon Loki's plan for Yukito unfold. Join us in the next video to witness the twists and turns that lie ahead in the exciting saga.